This call is being recorded.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Cooking Without Looking TV show podcast. I'm Renee Rentmeester. I'm the creator and executive producer of the Cooking Without Looking TV show. And I thought we'd start this little podcast just to have some fun and to talk to one another and get to know one another and create some understanding about people who are blind and visually impaired. And I always put the people in there because we always have to remember that we're people, right? Today, we are very fortunate to have Stephanae McCoy. She's a founder and CEO of Bold Blind Beauty. Welcome, Stephanae.
Hi, Renee. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I see you in Pittsburgh, huh?
Yes, I am. And the weather's gotten chilly again. It was nice the past few days.
Wow, I know. Well, we're in Miami, so, it got a little warmer. It had been chilly, but chilly for us is like 65. So,
Oh, you poor things.
I know. I can tell that you're tearing up right now, even as we
My heart's breaking.
I know. Well, our motto is changing the way we see blindness. And how do you want to change the way we all see blindness, Stephanae?
Well, I like that when we were talking before the show about what it is that you do, I love the idea of changing the way we see blindness. Bold Blind Beauty is all about changing the way we perceive one another, sort of a broad scheme, but essentially what we're doing is we're trying to get people to look at people differently, get to know them before forming an opinion about them. Essentially, it for me, it means real beauty transcends barriers. So there's far more to beauty. There's far more to people, regardless of blindness or any kind of disability that makes us who we are.
That's right. That's right. And beauty begins inside. So tell us a little bit about your visual impairment, about your blindness.
Sure. My visual impairment's a little out of the ordinary. Most of my friends, they have, the usual like retinitis pigmentosa,
The basic.
glaucoma, some of the other, the basic. I have what's called macular holes. So my vision is the equivalent of someone with advanced macular degeneration. I have no central vision. But the interesting thing is, after developing the macular holes, I also developed glaucoma, which affects the peripheral vision. So there you have it.
Oh man. Well, how did this happen? I remember you telling me that you had just a regular job. You were in an accounting firm, a large accounting firm. Is that correct?
Yes, I worked for a Fortune 500 accounting consulting firm, and I had gone home one day after work, took out one of my contact lenses, and while I was looking in the mirror after I'd taken out my right lens, um, half of my face disappeared, and I'm like, "Whoa, what's going on?" I thought it was my blood pressure medicine, so I really wasn't worried. I didn't think it was my sight.
Right. My God, what did you think it was? That's just a strange thing to happen.
It's a very strange thing to happen, but honestly, I just thought that it had to do with a medicine change that I had recently. So I waited till the next day and I called my doctor's office and told them what had happened. And they said, "Oh, no, you need to see an ophthalmologist right away." After seeing the doctor, I was told that they're really not 100% sure, but they believe that the reason why I developed the holes was because I was extremely nearsighted.
Ah, that's interesting. And how did they come up with that?
Well, based on what I understand, the nearsighted eye is very long. It's sort of shaped like a football. So if you're holding a football in your hand, like lengthwise, and you look at one of the ends of the football, where your retina would be, that would be the back of the eye.
Mm-hmm.
Since it is long and not as opposed to round, it thins out the retina, which is very sensitive. So they
Oh.
believe that that's what happened with me.
So what happened when you went back to work?
Well, thankfully for me, when it happened in the first eye, it wasn't an immediate thing, but I did have a surgery that I had to have redone. But it was something that took place over the course of several years. So it wasn't like, boom, I took out a contact lens and I can't see. I
Right.
still had some sight in my other eye while they were working on the bad eye. Unfortunately, the same condition happened in the opposite eye as well.
Oh, wow. So how much do you see right now, Stephanie?
I see the big picture, which is kind of cruel in a way, but it's blurry. It's not unlike what I used to see before I would put on eyeglasses or contact lenses. So, being that I was a high myope, myopia is another word for nearsightedness.
Mhm.
Um, the difference now is that my eyesight cannot be corrected. So it's always blurry. I can see colors, shapes, movement. Um, the bigger a thing is and the closer it is to me, I can detect what it is. But if I'm in an unfamiliar area, I'm
Right.
sort of lost.
Oh, so how was it? So then you're not able to drive anymore. How did you get over that hurdle?
The way I got over that hurdle was actually making that decision on my own. Before my last surgery, in my good eye, I had developed these real huge floaters from a procedure that was done to try to restore the vision in that eye. And those floaters really uh, messed up the remaining vision that I had in that eye that I was relying on to drive, and I was scared. So
Oh,
I decided on my own, you know what, it's time. It's just time to do this. And it actually felt empowering for me to do that as opposed to having a doctor tell me, look,
sure.
you got to give up your license. Yeah,
Sure, you took control of it.
I did. I
Well, I
did.
want to hear more about your makeup. Tell me about how you got into doing the makeup and women who are blind putting their makeup on. Tell me about that.
Well, I was pulled into that by a group that I had joined here in Pennsylvania. I joined the Pennsylvania Council of the Blind. When I was losing my sight, one of the first things I learned was that there was very little information out there
Mhm.
for someone in my situation. And my retina specialist, bless his heart, wasn't really much help. So I decided, I guess I'll go to the blind community and see if they can offer me some assistance. And thank God they did. I met up with some fantastic people that were business people. They were just doing so many things and carrying on with life. I knew I wanted to be part of that. At any rate, they asked me to do a presentation on makeup to a group of blind women.
And you
It
were
was
like,
sort of,
what?
yeah, because I'm like, wait a minute. I know how to do makeup because I've been doing makeup forever, since I was in my early 20s, but being blind was new to me and I wasn't totally blind. So my experience is a little different than somebody who's been born congenitally blind.
Mhm.
But they wanted me to do it, so I did. And based on the research at that time, when I started my site, there was very little out there for blind and visually impaired women. I thought, you know what, we need to open up this communication and have a talk around beauty and makeup and fashion for women who are not just blind, but women with disabilities. Anybody, because beauty shouldn't be restricted to anyone.
Right, right, exactly. And so how does a woman who is blind put on her makeup?
She actually does it like anybody else, really. I had to do some things differently, and that's just the thing. Everybody is different. You have to find what works for you.
Mhm.
What works for me now, I like using a light sheer liquid makeup, but I still sometimes will use like the powdered foundations, like I can't remember what it's called. It's a mineral foundation. I like using that sometimes because it goes
Oh,
on easily.
yeah, yeah.
Um, because you want to make sure it's blended and everything. When you can't see very well, you have to feel comfortable knowing that what you're doing is going to be presentable.
Of
Um,
course, yes. I'm laughing because there are lots of times as a sighted person, or as one of our hosts, Alan Preston, calls it, a light dependent person. I can put I can put my makeup on, and since we're down here in Miami, and just like sweat sections of it off, so it looks like I didn't have a mirror this morning, but it's you have to have also a lot of courage to put it on when you know that you can't see as well as you did before. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, I think so. And I also think, at least based on my personal experience, I've learned so much since losing my sight. I've learned that some of the things that I used to sweat a lot and thought was very, very important to me just don't matter as much anymore.
Mhm.
So, for example, like when I put on my eyebrows now, since I can't do it freehand like I used to before I lost my sight, and that's not to say everybody who's blind can't do that, because some can. I can't.
Right,
I
right.
use I use stencils to put on my eyebrows. Well,
Oh,
sometimes when I when I use them, sometimes depending on the day I'm having, they might be crooked, and I might need to.
and you look like you're skeptical over everything.
Yeah, like think Dr. Spock or Spock on Star Trek. Seriously, I mean, I know, it's like, but I'm doing the best that I can. I'm doing the best I can with what I have. And that to me is the most important thing. And that's why for Bold Blind Beauty, the central message is real beauty transcending barriers. Every day we have to work at knocking down the indivisible barriers that seek to divide us. And when you're a person who is blind or with a visual impairment, that sort of those barriers you face are exponentially greater than when you don't have that disability. And I can speak to that because I've been on both sides.
Right, right. There's a lot of prejudging of you when people don't understand a person who's blind, or why someone's done something, or why they say something, and then there's a lot of judgment before they even get to know you, because they think, well, even if they don't know blind people, they have all these stereotypes left in them.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly. And I think that was something that I had to come to terms with when I actually started losing sight in my other eye, because I had to come to terms with my own biases. And it felt bad. It was very humbling. But I think
Mhm.
it's something that all of us sort of come to terms with at one time in our lives, depending on what the situation is.
What was the biggest thing you had to come to terms with?
The fact that I'm not in control.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing. I'm not in control. Even though I said, with the driving thing, I decided to make that decision. That felt good. But the overarching theme, I think, was before I lost my sight, I felt like I had control over my life. But
Right.
once I lost it, I realized that I had to trust. And really, I trust. I relate that to my white cane. My white cane helps me to navigate the world safely, right? But it
Right.
only extends like a few feet in front of me. But that's okay. I may not be able to see further than a few feet, but as far as I can see, or can't see, whatever, as long as I have my cane to help me through, it's fine and it's going to be okay. So it's really taught me some deep lessons on trust and learning to trust myself and trusting others and just basically surviving.
Sure. Did you have any trouble with your your former your workmates, your coworkers. Did anyone have trouble believing that you had gone blind or visually impaired?
No, they didn't, and I think it was kind of strange for me because a lot of us that are in my situation, I think a lot of people think that blindness is black or white. Okay, it's seeing
Mhm.
versus not seeing, and we know that that's just not the case. The majority of people who are blind do have some functional vision, be it light perception, be
Mhm.
it maybe shades of color or whatever that might look like for them. It's different for everybody, even for people who have the same eye disease.
Sure, it's like it's a sliding continuum, isn't it? If there's only a few people or a minority of people who just have absolutely no sight whatsoever. And
Correct.
how do you now your fashion sense? How is that when you are visually impaired?
That has changed a little bit as well, along with the makeup. What I've tried to do is simplify. I've always been a minimalist, but since
Mhm.
losing my sight, I've taken that to a higher degree and just making things as simple as possible. And honestly, I couldn't be happier because it's like when you have less, you have less to worry about, to concern yourself about. There's less to choose from. So in my wardrobe, for example, I have my closet lined up by color, so light to darks, and then in between
Oh,
shades. But I don't have that many shades, colors, because
right.
black, black, gray, and white are like my favorite colors. and then I'll add in a few like corals. I like corals. I like a couple of shades of green, but I don't have like a rainbow of colors in my wardrobe. I try to keep it simple. Simple is easy and it works.
Sure. And how do you counsel other women who are blind and talk to them about their makeup and about their fashion sense?
Yeah, it depends on where they're at. If it's women that have, used makeup before, they have a sense of style. I think it's a little easier, talking with those type of people that have that experience. But for
Mhm.
people who haven't, like younger people or people that are just, they want to experiment and it's brand new to them, I tell them just take your time. Take a friend, a trusted friend or family member with you when you go shopping. Um, Take advantage of any free courses that are out there. For example, at Sephora, you can go to Sephora and they will do your makeup for you. And they even have a class. I believe at the time I went, it was like if you purchase like whatever amount it was in product, then they would give you like an hour of free consultation on
Oh,
doing your makeup. So for somebody who's blind and visually impaired, you share that information. And let me be clear, if you don't want to share that information, that is totally up to you. You don't have to tell people if you don't want to. I like to tell people because for me, it's about educating
mhm,
the
mhm.
public
Sure.
about what blindness is and
Mhm.
about abilities and what we can do. So, yeah, I advise them to leverage every opportunity they can to learn as much as they can about what it is that they want to achieve. If it's in relation to fashion, if it's in relation to makeup, there's a lot of stores like online, for example, that have assistants that will help you, with picking out what it is you might like that suits your particular style. They'll even help you develop your style if you've never done it
Oh,
before.
wow. So you don't lose your sight and gain style, huh?
Right.
Well, and I know before when we talked, you discussed a smoky eye. Now, as a person who tries, I end up looking like I was in a bar brawl and someone set my eyes on fire. I have smoldering eye. Do you have any tips for us on the smoky eye?
Unfortunately, I don't have any tips on the smoking eye because, as I may have shared with you, it was just one of the things that I never personally gravitated to. I've always liked the look on everybody else, but I just
Right.
couldn't get it to work on myself.
Yeah, I know. It just never comes out right. It just looks like you smeared your eye in lots of makeup. Like I know my 6-year-old granddaughter could probably do the same thing. Well, you have a bit of a recipe for us. I call it like a little snack, maybe a midnight snack or a mid-morning snack. Would you like to share that with us,
Yes, I
Stephanie?
would. And actually, the recipe, because I'm not a cook, I already shared that with you. But
Right.
this recipe I got when I was working at our local Air Force base when I was in my late teens. I worked in their kitchen. So what it is a toasted piece of bread or even an English muffin, better. You put a slice of provolone cheese on it, and
Hmm.
then a sliced tomato, melted cheese, and some either basil or Italian seasoning, or you can even swap it out for other seasonings of your choice, whatever you like. But just toast that, melt the cheese, and it is to die for.
Oh, wow. Wow. That sounds great. That sounds wonderful. Um, and when do you usually eat it? Like just when
Hello? I
hello.
think we broke up.
Yes, yes. I've got a little dog who's interested in eating that. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Well, basically, how can anyone get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me by going to the website at www.boldblindbeauty.com. Email smccoy, that's S as in Sam, McCoy, MCCOY, at boldblindbeauty.com. Or on social media, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, under boldblindbeauty.com. Boldblindbeauty, not .com.
Well, that sounds great. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for being with us today. This has been Stephanae McCoy with Bold Blind Beauty. And I'm Renee Rentmeester, creator and executive producer of the Cooking Without Looking TV show. You can find us at our website, www.cookingwithoutlookingtv.wordpress.com, or you can call us directly at 305-200-9104. Thank you, Stephanie, for changing the way we see blindness.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.